Hi everyone, how are you doing today? I am going to bring you some more in the Chris Watts case. I've been going through her friends, Stan's friends, some interviews. I found some interesting tidbits that I missed at the discovery that I want to bring to you, and also I want to clear up some false information that's going around out there and debunking some of those untruths that are going on. I was looking through the discovery and I noticed that there are some things that I didn't see. Now we know that he alerted officers and everything that an alarm went off about the garage door being open, or an alert, I should say, about the garage door being opened. But there was something I didn't notice, and this is in Officer Bumhover's report here that he did. So let me just get to that. It says Watts said at approximately 5:27 he backed his work truck into the driveway to load up tools, which he estimated took 10 minutes. Okay, we know that's not true, right? Then that's not at all what happened. And shortly thereafter he drove off to a work site near Hudson. Neighbor Nate, the neighbor next door, said from his home video surveillance, it shows that Nicole's vehicle, Nicole Atkinson, left at 1:48 a.m. and at 5:27 a.m. Watts' truck is observed backed into the driveway and leaving a short time later. The surveillance video is only motion-activated clips, which appear to have a delayed recording response. Using Nate's Xfinity login and password at a later time, I was able to observe Watts' work truck parked in his driveway for about 37 minutes, far longer than the 10 minutes, right? And leaving at approximately 5:45. A legal request to Xfinity for the full-length video is pending, and this was on September 4th. But that's not what I'm going to tell you about. I just wanted you to hear that. Watts also showed me an alarm notification alerting him that the garage door was left open at 5:27. Watts said he received the same type of alert for the basement door. Did anybody hear that? For the basement door? Earlier that morning, and appeared to be puzzled by both of the alerts. I asked Watts if he closed the garage door when he left for work at 5:27, and Watts said he thought he did. I asked Watts if he had ever received any other garage door alerts after that, and he said he had not. Okay. I'm really puzzled about this. Guys, I am so puzzled about this. What is going on? We know that he doesn't mention things for no reason. We know that, right? We totally know he doesn't mention things for no reason. So why in the world is he mentioning this? And what is this about? But I didn't hear about the basement door. Okay, now we've got the basement door, and we think things might have occurred in the basement. And he says earlier, could it be that in the commotion of those things occurring, or trying to clean up and package up and all of that stuff, could it be that somebody inadvertently went in and out of the basement door? And that would look suspicious if they got the records. So he's trying to say, oh, there was a malfunction, and it was in the garage door, and it was in the basement door. Did you guys know that the basement door alerted also? We don't even know if he's lying, because I don't think he says he didn't show him. He said he told him. So I don't know. What do you guys think about this? And this brings us all back to the garage door opener. He said in another statement to, I believe it was Bumhauer or one of the other officers on site, that we know we saw him go running into Shanann's car the minute he got back, right? From, work to go and check the house. He went in the passenger side. People say, well, maybe he was putting the wedding ring. He had it in the truck. He took it off before he buried her. He had it in the truck with him. He had it in his pants or something, and he put it somewhere where he could get it and go. Or he had put it in the car that morning. I don't know. I'm confused about that. Or he could have been slipping the garage door open. Now, why he would have to put her garage door opener in there, because he should have one in his truck anyway. He told officers that the only way you can close the garage door is with the opener. But that's not true because the officers tested it. You can hit the button on the side and you can scoot out quickly and get out before the door closes. So I'm not sure what's going on there. I'm really going to be thinking about that, especially now with the basement door, okay, that he's saying that alerted. So I don't know what he was planning there. Is he planning to say that someone could have been in the house? Someone could have snuck in the house? Was he planning on putting another alert on that basement door later on that day? Who knows, okay? Because Nicole Atkinson got there before he could enact any type of a plan. So we don't know exactly what he was planning at all. And, you know, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine there. I'm going to keep thinking about it because that just stuck out to me. I didn't hear the basement door. That's what I mean. You go through this discovery and you keep finding out more and more and more. All right, let me see what else I wanted to tell you about. I wanted to answer some questions because you guys are asking me questions in the comments. A lot of you are asking the same thing. You keep asking me about this in the shadows video, okay? And I've told you guys I don't see anything. I mean, I see just like a quick back and forth motion, but I can't make out what it is. And then there's that gene thing. I can't make it out. So yeah, you can stop asking me now, but I can't make it out. I wanted to debunk something else that Armchair Detective is saying that somebody told me, because somebody told me he said it. I didn't hear him say it, but somebody said he said this. He said that the baby monitors record. Those baby monitors are summer infant monitors. They do not record. I've checked it out on the site and they do not record. So you can go back. There's even a question on there and it's no, it's only in live stream. So they do not record. Even if you didn't take my word for that, think about this one. Go back into the discovery, go back into the videos. You could see that when they were doing that mock strangulation with the doll, that the officer had to be in the master bedroom recording on his smartphone. If those were recording, he could record it right to a chip or something if they recorded on their own. They don't. They don't. Okay? So those video monitors do not record. It's only live stream. And we also heard Chris say it, that they don't record. So maybe, you know, that's one of the things he was telling the truth on. But no, they don't record. I think just by seeing a title, because I think he said, oh, they had a smart home. I think, I don't know, he's in the UK, right? He just by what he says about our cameras and our lights and our equipment and stuff, I think he might think that a lot of houses in the United States have these tremendously smartphones that record, not smartphones, smart homes that have all this sophisticated technology that records everything and does all this stuff. But no, that's not true at all. So you can let him know those two things, right? That Nicole Kessinger's father is not an attorney and that the baby monitors do not record. So let him know that. I mean, I have nothing against him, but I just, when false information gets out there, you got to be really careful. So no, those do not record. There is something in here. This is also by Officer Baumhover. He said that, okay, when he was looking at that footage, so they did look at this, okay? He said, I told David a neighbor's security camera showed a car that appeared to leave his driveway. This is, okay, so at approximately 10:50, I met with the residents, David, Miyamura, and Bet Marco. Initially, I met David at his front door and asked him about the car that appeared to leave from his driveway at approximately 5:15 on 8/13. David said he normally leaves for work at 6:30 to 7. And on 8/13, he left around 7. Initially, David said no one else in the household left prior to him. I asked David if he saw Watts that morning, to which he had stated he had not, but he offered information about how Watts had parked his truck in the driveway several times recently when he was normally parked in the street. Now, that's contrary to what anybody else says. I told David a neighbor's security camera showed a car that appeared to leave his driveway around 5:15. David said the car was likely his wife's, as she normally leaves around 5 to 5:15 to work out at a gym. Upon speaking with Bet, I learned she left that morning at 5:15 and noticed Watts's truck with the lights on. She thought it was unusual because they're typically not on that early. Bet offered information about a barbecue that Watts had on Sunday at about 1900 hours, and never heard or saw Bella or Celeste during that time. She did see Watts a couple of times as he was cooking something on the grill, but the girls never appeared when he was outside. My meet with Bet and Dave ended shortly thereafter. Now, I wonder if she left at 5:15 and we know he didn't leave until about 5:45. When I'm watching that video, it seems like I'm seeing lights way after that one car leaves for the gym. And I see something just as almost that he's leaving. There's something there if I look. So I'm more interested in finding out what that is than I am, looking at jeans and stuff, because I think that's more telling, but that's just me, I guess. Anyway, I saw another interesting tidbit in the discovery, and this makes me really angry. I get really aggravated when I see what I'm going to show you now, because I think that an investigator, someone talking to this person, should not have just let this go, okay? Totally not. This was Cody Roberts, who was the person that Chris works with, the one that Chris was telling that he was going to go out to survey 319. Remember all that on the Sunday? Okay. Well, they called him up and spoke with him, right? And he says, okay, Roberts is an operator and has a set route to maintain 24 wells. Watts is a lead field coordinator, which is right under a foreman. A lead can act as a foreman in the foreman's absence. Roberts thought there were some weird things. And the person investigating doesn't ask him to elaborate. Does that sound weird to you? It sounds weird to me. If somebody tells me there's some weird things, I would say, what kind of weird things? What weird with what? With his behavior, with what he was doing, with his work? What was going on? What was weird? Nothing. Okay? Now the next thing. And I saw this before, and I've been meaning to mention this to you guys, but commented that he knows Colorado has a high sex trafficking rate, and that the travel time for Watts from 5:30 to 6:30 to get to Survey would be right. Okay. Now we add that other little stuff, and someone's telling me this, and I'm interviewing them. Why are they mentioning sex trafficking rates in Colorado when they're referencing his time to get to the work site, when they're mentioning weird things? Is he trying to say that the weird things have to do with sex trafficking rates in Colorado? Would that mean that he thinks that Chris is engaging with or paying for sex or whatever he's doing? Why would he be doing that on the way to work? Why did that even come up on the way to work? What did this even come up about? This is so out of place. Is this out of place for you guys? Would you have asked somebody to please elaborate on this, because I'm lost here? Yeah, but that just let it go. Complete. Let it go. Did anybody else hear anything more about this? How could this be let? I don't understand. I don't understand what they're doing there. Does anybody understand this? Can you tell me, please? Okay, so then he says the trucks have GPS, which monitors speed, braking, and cell phone use when driving through Bluetooth. Roberts was told that Anandarko pulled the GPS data from Watts' truck. I'm going to see if there's an audio of this. I know there's an audio of some of the guys. I'm going to see if there's one from Cody Roberts that might tell me a little bit more about why he said this stuff about sex trafficking, and if anything was ever elaborated on. But if you guys know, can you put it in the comments, please? Thank you. Let's go on to Miss NK. This is a synopsis. On August 21st, 2018, phone interview with NK. On August 21st, 2018, Colorado Bureau of Investigation agent Kevin Kobach spoke with NK by telephone. NK updated me on memories regarding her relationship and conversations with Christopher Watts. The following is a summary of the phone call with NK. The phone call was recorded and is attached to this report for review of the exact contact. The phone call was recorded and is attached to this report for review of the exact content of the interview. The interview was sent for transcription on August 22nd, 2018. NK stated the following during the interview, that she had been thinking about Chris's use of Thrive. Chris always wore at least 2 patches, usually on his left and right bicep and tricep area. Chris would also apply the patch to his lower back. Chris also used the supplement shakes and pills on a daily basis and followed the Thrive routine. Chris lost 13 pounds between July 4th and August 11th. On July 4th, NK went to Chris's home in Frederick, Colorado to help Chris set up his diet and weight loss exercise goals, in the MyFitnessPal app. And we remember that, she did that because she's not too tech savvy, right? So it's natural to call someone that's not too tech savvy to help you set up an app on your watch when you're having trouble. That's always the best person to call. NK said this was the first time she was at Chris's house. After spending time at Chris's home on July 4th, they went to the Colorado Rockies baseball game. She went to the Colorado Rockies baseball game without Chris. The second and final time she went to Chris's home was on July 14th. You believe that? I don't. NK and Chris were always, NK said Chris was always full of energy and he did not need to sleep. He regularly went to sleep at 11 p.m. or 12 a.m. and woke up between 4:30 and 5. NK recalled that Chris would sometimes fall asleep during their conversations but catch himself and wake back up. NK recalled the following dates and locations when she and Chris visited during the relationship. On August 11th, Chris drove to her home in his Lexus. They went to the Lazy Dog at 120 and Federal in Westminster, Colorado, and chose to leave this location. Remember when she didn't like the menu? Probably didn't have healthy, clean eating options because she's a clean eater. Okay? So they went to the other Lazy Dog in Erie, where they must have had some clean eating options for her. They drove NK's Toyota 4Runner to both locations, and after having a meal at the second Lazy Dog, they returned to NK's home, and then Chris left her home in his Lexus. We missed the part where he went inside. NK recalled that Chris always paid for their meals when they were out on dates, and Chris had always paid for everything using Andarko gift cards. NK was not certain how Chris got the gift cards, but she believes they were given to him by Andarko as a bonus for being safe on the job. Isn't she the safety person there? Wouldn't she know if he got those for being safe on the job? Do they have a policy there of giving them for being safe on the job? Did anybody check with Andarko? Why did he have searches for my prepaid card or whatever? And where was he getting the money to get those prepaid cards? NK believed Chris had been using the gift cards to hide their relationship from Shanann, and NK noticed that on the 11th at the Lazy Dog in Erie, he had paid for their meal with the baby blue credit card. Who describes a credit card as baby blue? You're gonna pay. Is that going to be debit or baby blue credit card? Is it? Oh, you have chartreuse green credit card? Okay. Are you going to be using debit or baby blue? Baby blue. Okay. During this time, Chris also made it clear to NK that he was filing for divorce from Shanann, and NK thought it was unusual for Chris to pay with a credit card as he always used the gift cards. She believed Chris had nothing to hide anymore from Shanann, so he was not concerned with paying with a credit card that Shanann may be able to see the transactions on. She must have been feeling really, really good that night, right? Really good. Friday, now she goes back to Friday, July 6th. And then it goes on and Saturday, July 7th. Like, what is it, NK? Chris and NK went to a movie theater near 144th and I-25, and they attempted to see Jurassic Park at approximately 7 p.m., but the show was sold out. They walked to a bench near Victoria's Secret. No wonder she remembers Victoria's Secret, right? And talked for approximately 2 hours and then attended the 9 p.m. show. The Saturday, July 14th, this is the second time NK had been to Chris's home. She picked him up at his home and they drove to Boulder, Colorado in her Toyota 4Runner. And there they went to the Shelby Mustang Museum, and they arrived at approximately 11 a.m. After going to the museum, NK took Chris back to her home. July 24th, Chris and NK, they arrived at approximately 11 a.m. and after going to the museum, NK took Chris back to her home. July 21st, Chris and NK went to the Vandermeer Speedway to watch the drag races. They arrived in the early afternoon, and prior to attending the event, they went to a rooftop bar in Morrison, Colorado, where they ate lunch. I'm sure it was clean. NK cannot recall the name of the bar, but after an open source search, it is likely that it's the Rooftop Tavern at 215 Bear Creek Avenue, Morrison, Colorado. July 28th and 29th, NK and Chris went to the Great Sand Dunes National Monument in Alamosa, Colorado. They drove to the location in Nicole's Toyota 4Runner and they tent camped at Zapata Falls in an established campground. On July 28, 2018, Nicole said that they stopped at a local gas station near the Great Sand Dunes and purchased ice and firewood. NK and Chris paid for the items. NK said Chris paid for the items, but she was uncertain if he used a gift card. And Chris also rented sandboards for the Great Sand Dunes. The only gas station near the Great Sand Dunes is the Oasis 5400 Colorado 150 Mosca, Colorado. When returning home from the Great Sand Dunes, NK's friend Charlotte called and asked her to go to the Renaissance Festival, but Nicole made an excuse about why she could not go because she was with Chris and did not want Charlotte to know. Didn't she say in one of those things that this was not a very, this relationship didn't mean anything to her, and if her friends called, she would just blow Chris off and go to whatever they wanted, and you know, she didn't have to be with him all the time and all of this stuff. She said it was going really slow and she didn't mind taking it slow and she is going to be with her friends. Well, that's completely contrary to what she just did there. But should we be surprised? No. NK said she and Chris stopped in Colorado Springs at BJ's. They sat to the right of the doors and Chris paid for their meals with a gift card. BJ's restaurant is located at 550 North Nevada Avenue, Colorado Springs, and then they both returned home. What home? NK said Chris left Colorado for North Carolina on July 31st, and she could not recall what day Chris returned home, but believed he was gone for approximately 1 week. She said the next date she had with Chris was on August 11th when they visited the Lazy Dog Bar. Date. This is a matter of semantics with this girl, because do you remember what he did on August 8th? Do you guys remember? He went to the Toyota dealership to pick up the touch-up paint and the windshield wipers and, drop that off to her at her house. But I guess that's not considered a date to her, and she didn't feel any need to mention it here, NK recalled further information on statements made by Chris. She said, at the time he made the statements, they did not cause her concern, but when reflecting back on the conversations, they caused her concern. NK referenced a phone call with Chris on Monday, the 13th, and she said it was in the evening, and during this conversation, he made statements about his children's sheets being smelly and about Shanann's wedding ring. During this conversation, Chris told NK that Shanann was okay with their separation, and NK found this concerning, as she had discussed with Chris trying to repair his relationship with Shanann prior to him leaving for North Carolina. Yeah. Chris told NK he had told Shanann he wanted to fix the relationship while in North Carolina, and Shanann said she did not want to try and wanted a divorce. Oh boy. NK believed Chris was lying about Shanann and saying she was okay with the divorce and separation. Really, NK. NK said during the same phone conversation that she and Chris discussed why Celeste's EpiPen would have been left behind by Shanann, knowing that Celeste had an extreme nut allergy. NK said she questioned Chris about this and it seemed odd. Chris responded saying that they had a stash of EpiPens and maybe Shanann took one of those. NK said she knew this was a lie as the EpiPens are very expensive. NK also questioned Chris during this phone call as to why he had not come into the Andarko office location on Monday, August 13th. And she said although Chris usually comes to the office location in the mornings, there have been times when he's reported directly to the field. NK said it was ironic his wife was missing and he did not come to the office that day, so she questioned him. She's trying to get herself out of the mix. You see, I'm just as shocked as everybody else. NK recalled Chris telling her Sunday that he was not going to come to the office and was going to go to the pump site. She recalled during the phone conversation on August 12th that a television was playing in the background and she thought it was strange Chris was watching television very late at night. NK believed Chris was waiting up for Shanann to arrive home from Arizona that evening, and that is why the television was on. Chris told her during the call that he had to go to the field to check on a release. Nicole explained a release was a small oil leak at a well or pump site. NK was suspicious as to why Chris would be checking on a release as he was not part of the environmental team. She explained, usually if a release is reported, a team of environmental specialists respond to deal with the release. Chris occasionally deals with the release and may be responsible for closing valves or shutting off tanks to stop a release. Chris told NK that he was going to check out equipment and do a lockout tagout on the site if there was a release. Nicole said Chris is tasked with doing lockout tagouts and there would be a record of some type of paperwork for this type of activity. NK questioned Chris about going to the job site on Monday, August 13th, in the morning and told him to prove he had been to the site. Oh boy. Chris responded with text messages between him and other Andarko employees to prove he was at the site. Chris also sent NK a picture of a release. NK said Chris told her that Luke Eppel, Chris's supervisor, had requested Chris or Troy to respond to the release, and Chris told Troy he would take care of the release according to NK. NK said that she ended the phone conversation with Chris and he later FaceTimed her that evening. She said on the video call he was wearing a black wife beater t-shirt and he was laying on a mattress with no sheets on it. NK did not know what bed Chris was on, but said it did not look like his makeshift basement bedroom. NK said the mattress Chris was laying on could have been blue in color. So she's really setting that up there. You see that, guys? She's trying to help them. She thought it's all shady sounding. She definitely had nothing to do with this. Nothing. I asked NK about her social media use, and she said she has not used social media since 2018. We've gone through this before, right? Really? That's now, NK. NK said that she last used LinkedIn, however rarely. NK said that she discussed with Chris about shutting down his Facebook.com profile. Chris mentioned to her on Saturday, August 11th during their dinner that he had shut it down. Chris said he did not use the account. NK said that he had shut down the account all the way by sending a request to Facebook.com, and Chris did not know about that requirement. NK believed his account was only deactivated on August 11th. We went through this about her being, so domineering and everything, and even checking on it. NK and I discussed her willingness to provide me with her Apple iPhone 6 so further attempts could be made to recover her deleted text messages. NK said she would provide the phone and would consent to a search of the phone. NK further said she had she had recovered her Verizon call logs from July to August 13th. I didn't see that. I see from August 13th on. I'm looking for the ones for July. I'd like to know where they are. NK is going to provide those documents to me on our next meeting. All right, let's take a look at some interviews with some of Shanann's friends, okay? So this is an interview that took place on the phone, okay, on August 15th, 2018. CBI agent Kellen Hassenstab began assisting the Frederick Police Department on a missing persons investigation. He was assigned to call Cindy DeRosette, an associate of Shanann Watts. Prior to the phone call, I was advised that DeRosette was in contact with Shanann Watts over the weekend at a work conference in Scottsdale, Arizona. I called Cindy on my work phone. The conversation was not recorded. I reached Cindy at approximately 11:35 a.m. and she agreed to speak with me regarding Shanann. Cindy and Shanann arrived in the morning of Friday, August 10th at that work conference for Lavelle Thrive, which was in the Embassy Suites in Scottsdale, Arizona. Cindy's primary contact with Shanann occurred on Sunday evening, August 12th, when they went to dinner at approximately 5 p.m. prior to dropping Shanann and Nicole Atkinson off at the airport to fly home to Denver. During the dinner on Sunday evening, Cindy said Shanann confided in her that Chris Watts and her were having marital difficulties. Cindy recalled that Shanann told her that after Shanann returned home from her vacation in North Carolina, that Chris was distant. During the vacation, Cindy said Shanann said Chris Watts was not returning her phone calls. Shanann told Cindy she asked Chris if he still loved her and he didn't answer. Shanann also said that Chris doesn't want to touch her anymore. Generally, Shanann described Chris as non-confrontational and having his head in the sand, especially when it came to the kids. Shanann told Cindy that Chris told her it'd be nice if he could hang a picture on the wall without permission. Cindy said Shanann confided in her that Chris said they were no longer compatible. Cindy said Shanann also told her that that she was planning a getaway weekend on August 18th and 19th, as well as potential counseling with Chris. Cindy said Shanann was concerned about losing her husband. While at dinner, Shanann found out that Chris had spent nearly $60 on a dinner when he was supposed to have gone to a Rockies game. Cindy said they were trying to figure out what he bought for that amount because the website for the restaurant showed a burger and a beer should have cost about $15. Regarding Shanann potentially being a missing person, Cindy said Shanann Watts was a helicopter mom and would never have left without medication nor missed a doctor's appointment, and she definitely would not have she definitely would have had the kids in school. Cindy says she has not met Chris Watts in person. Over the course of the weekend they were together, Cindy said she observed Shanann was looking tired and wasn't eating. Cindy said she had to remind Shanann to eat. Cindy also told me she was aware Shanann canceled a gender reveal party due to the conflict with Chris. We have Agent Galabrath interviewed Addie Ann Maloney by phone at 8:15. Addie Maloney is a good friend of Shanann. She's a coworker and a friend. Addie spent time with Shanann in Arizona over the weekend. On 8:15 at approximately 9:34, I spoke with Addie by phone. Addie met Shanann about 3 years ago through her employment with Lavelle. Shanann is part of Addie's team with her home-based business. Addie and Shanann were friends, and Shanann confided in Addie. Addie lives in Westminster, Maryland, and the two stay in touch via phone, text, and FaceTime, and social media, Facebook and Instagram. Addie was with Shanann in Scottsdale, Arizona for a Thrive conference over the weekend of 8:10 to 8:12. Addie dropped Shanann and Nicole Atkinson off at the airport at about at about 1,745 hours to 1,800 hours on 8/12. That was the last time Addie saw Shanann. The next morning, no one heard from Shanann, which was very unusual. Addie learned of this at about 12:45 Mountain Time. Addie described Shanann as an amazing mom, the kind that everyone wants to be. She was so on top of things and very loving. Things between Shanann and Christopher Watts seemed perfect until a few weeks ago. They had always been very happy together before a few weeks ago. They adored each other. They had great kids that were joyful, and there were no issues. Addie said that there may have been some financial things, but Shanann has been extremely successful with her home-based business. In June 2018, Shanann went to North Carolina with the girls, Bella and Celeste, Cece. When Shanann went to North Carolina, she felt Chris was distant. He told her he did not want the baby, which Shanann was pregnant with, and he felt that he and Shanann were not compatible. Chris would not give Shanann reasons for why he felt this way. Shanann confided that Chris was very difficult the last few weeks. Addie reported that Shanann put a video on social media that she recorded of her telling Chris that she was pregnant. Addie's husband watched it and felt that Chris was less than thrilled of the news given Chris's reaction. Addie told me that she has no doubt that Chris did this, and it was due to whatever was going on with him. Shanann told Chris that she did not feel safe with him after he told her he didn't want the baby, and especially after Chris would not even hold Shanann when she was hurting from what Chris said. Addie thought it was around 8/8 that Shanann shared this information with her by text, and Addie described Shanann as extremely successful with her business. She recently hit the 80K mark and estimated that she was making between 80 and 100K, a six-figure income on her own, not including Chris's income. Addie said that Shanann would have likely been making next to nothing for the first couple of years, but this year hit the 80K mark. Income is all commission-based, but Shanann was doing very well. Addie said it's very hard for her to tell exactly what Shanann was making. In Arizona, Shanann was a wreck. This was atypical for Shanann because to Addie, Shanann is always polished and pulled together, a ray of sunshine. Shanann looked broken. Cassandra Cassie Rosenberg shared a room with Shanann for the conference and agreed with Addie in that she has never seen Shanann like this. On Saturday night, 8/11, Shanann was very distraught and shared that Chris had supposedly gone to a Rockies game and then out to eat. There was a $62 charge that Shanann was alerted to. Chris told her he ordered salmon and a beer. The amount seemed far more than one person to Shanann. Addie tried to suggest that maybe Chris bought beer for his friends, and Shanann believed that if Chris did that, he would tell her that he bought beer for his friends. Addie said Nicole Atkinson would know which restaurant this charge was at. They went online to look up the prices for beer and salmon, and things did not add up. Chris eating salmon was not weird, because that is what he eats, according to Shanann. Now that he's a clean eater. Addie said that she would have never in a million years guessed that Chris would cheat on Shanann until a few weeks ago when he changed. Addie asked if she had gone through Chris's phone, and Shanann had not, and said that he would not be that stupid to leave evidence of an affair in his phone. Though Shanann had recently seen Chris deleting text messages between him and his father. Addie was aware of a severe falling out between Shanann and Chris's parents. Cece has a tree nut allergy. Shanann went to North Carolina to visit her family. Shanann had provided Cindy Watts, Chris's mother, a list of foods to shop for prior to their visit due to Cece's allergy, and Cindy did not abide by that list at all. Is that surprising? No. And purchased generic items that contained things or were made in places where things were made that Cece could not eat. Shanann ended up shopping for food for Cece. Cindy served ice cream with nuts in it to the other cousins, and Cece threw a fit because she couldn't have any. Shanann told Cindy that she could have bought another ice cream, or she could have waited until Cece was in bed to give the ice cream to the other kids. Cindy told Cece that her mother would not let her have the ice cream. Oh, you're so mature, Cindy Watts. What a mature woman. What a sweet Grammys. Cindy told Shanann this would be a good lesson for Cece to experience that she can't always get what she wants. Shanann had indicated that Chris was supportive of her over this matter involving Cece's allergy and his mother, but then submitted to his mother. Chris's parents have not liked Shanann. I asked Addie if there was anyone else that she felt needed to be looked at besides Chris in this matter, and she told me that she really hoped it was not Chris, but there was no one else that she knows of. Addie told me that Nicole got to the Watts house. Addie told me that when Nicole got to the Watts house, it was locked up from the inside out. Addie was on the phone with Nicole. The garage was the only way to have left. Shanann's car was in the garage, and the only way to have left is to hit the garage button and run out the closing garage door. Addie said that Shanann would never have left all of her things in the house like that. Addie thinks Chris hid Shanann's phone so she could not call for help. She thinks that something happened in the bedroom, as she had knowledge that the sheets were stripped from the bed. I asked Addie to please guard the information she was made privy to by being on the phone with Nicole at the start of this investigation. She agreed, but told me that much of this information is out there, as many friends were concerned and trying to locate Shanann. I asked Addie about any changes in Chris that Shanann may have mentioned, and Chris was working out more for sure. He started with running and then incorporated lifting weights. He was really getting into fitness. Addie said she last saw Chris in June of 2018 in San Diego at a conference with Shanann. The time before that was January of 2018, and his body totally transferred from dad bod to buff in that time period from January to June. Addie said Chris looked amazing. Shanann never mentioned that Chris was working more or spending time away from home. Chris had always adored Shanann. Addie's husband adores Addie, and she and Shanann would joke that how fortunate they were that they had husbands that wanted to be with them and spend time with them. At dinner in Arizona, Addie wanted to talk about Shanann's relationship matters. Shanann had not told Cindy D. Rousset about the matters between her and Chris, but did share with her at that time. It was known that Shanann is the one who wears the pants in the relationship, and Chris goes along with Shanann's decisions. Shanann said that Chris made a comment recently stating he wished she would let him hang a picture one time without her telling him where it goes. Shanann replied, okay, and realized that she needed to make some changes. She had not realized that she was controlling. Shanann wanted to change to help her marriage. The friends talked with her about trying to save her marriage. The only thing Shanann could think of was possibly her being controlling, and she wanted to work on that. Addie knew Shanann to have a white 2018 Lexus 350, and she was under the impression that Chris also drove the vehicle when they went places together. Chris also drove a dark blue work truck. Shanann never mentioned that she rode in the truck. Addie knew that Shanann was married once before, but did not know much about him. Addie stated that Shanann's ex-husband's new wife joined Lavelle a while back, but she fizzled out. Addie still had no information about her ex-husband or the new wife, other than that they grew up in the same town Shanann did. Shanann did not have benefits through Lavelle. She earns commission, $800 a month for a car allowance and a couple of trips a year paid for by Lavelle. Shanann never mentioned having life insurance policies. Shanann told me that she has a friend that is Addie told me that she has a friend that is a medium and that she believes Shanann was gone as she came to her in spirit. I told Addie that she can have the friend contact me if she had viable information if she wants. I assured her that there was no desire to contract with a medium in this investigation at this point, though. Addie agreed to go through her text correspondence with Shanann and forward screenshots. This phone interview was concluded at 10:21. I subsequently received screenshots of text messages between Addie and Shanann and Addie and Chris. Addie also sent me a screenshot of an email Chris responded to on 8/15/2018 to state that he was in on a fantasy football league. Screenshots are pasted below and are also attached to the supplemental report. So text synopsis of what she got on 8/6. Addie asked how Shanann was, and Shanann said she didn't even know where to begin. Shanann discloses that she and Chris are not well. She tells Addie it involves his parents and that she has cried every day since she has been there in North Carolina. This is when Chris and the girls were in North Carolina. Okay, on 8/7, Shanann tells Addie that Chris is scared to death about a third baby and he's happy with just the girls. He doesn't want another baby. Addie suggests that Chris is just scared and it'll be fun once the baby comes. Shanann tells Addie that Chris has changed and Shanann does not know who he is anymore. He has not touched or kissed her in all week. He has not talked to her except when she was trying to figure out what was wrong with him. Shanann said that he has been distant since she left. Shanann had an appointment for a 4D ultrasound and gender reveal the following day, and she said she was scared. Shanann told Addie that they have never had a problem like this in their relationship, and that it was coming from that this was total left field. He has not asked about Shanann or the baby, though Shanann has been vomiting and not feeling well. Shanann texted what Chris texted her, and Chris said this: "I don't know where my head is at. I will fix it though." Shanann was concerned that Chris really does not love her anymore, and the following day would be 8 years since they started dating. On 8/9, Shanann tells Addie that Chris went with her to the ultrasound appointment, but he was cold, and said she has no idea what happened. Addie suggests Shanann go through his phone to see if there is someone else. Chris was not receptive to counseling. He refused to hold Shanann, saying that he was not there yet and could not. Shanann had been crying all week, and she canceled the gender reveal party she had scheduled. Nicole Atkinson was just going to tell Shanann the gender. Shanann had asked Chris why he was talking about having another baby. He was excited and happy. Shanann said that she grabbed Chris's hand during the ultrasound and he did not grab back. Shanann said Chris rejected sex the first night he arrived in North Carolina, and the only thing she can think of is that he has another girl. The night before, Chris told her that opposites attract, but this was not working. Shanann asked Addie how she could make him feel that they were more compatible if he's not giving her anything to work with. He kept telling Shanann that he does not feel it anymore. He told Shanann that she is not doing anything wrong and that it's all him. That sounds like George Costanza, right? It's not you, it's me. Shanann was considering calling Chris's mom to tell her that she wants a relationship with them. Shanann said she thought Chris slept in the basement the night before. Shanann said it was taking everything in her not to flip on him and them, his parents. Shanann told Addie that one minute Chris agreed to go away with her for the weekend, and then the next minute, 30 minutes later, he deletes his Facebook account. Shanann said that she is trying to go with the flow, and he was talking. And I think I left out the last sentence for that text, because I think it got cut off. But now they say on 8/20, Addie texted the agent about an email she gained knowledge of that Chris Watts responded to on 8/4 which concerned her because he was missing his wife and children and talking with police in this matter. When he responded, Chris received an email about fantasy football and was sure to respond that he was in during the time when his wife and his children were missing. Addie also forwarded screenshots of the text between her and Chris Watts. On 6/17, she wished him a happy Father's Day. On 8/13, Addie asked Chris if Shanann is okay and told him that everyone is worried. She told him it's not like her to not respond and not have heard back from her at all. Chris replied that she went to a friend's house with the kids. He said she would not tell him where she went, but he will update her once he got home. On 8/13 at 3:46, Addie asked Chris what was happening and expressed worry. Chris did not reply. At 8:13 at 1848 hours, Addie asked Chris for any news. Chris replied that the cops searched his house up and down and are doing everything they can. She asked what could be happening, and Chris said he had no clue. Chris told Addie that he and Shanann talked that morning between 4 and 5, and when he left, she was still there. He told her that they had checked his camera and the neighbor's camera. Addie asked about Cece's medication, and Chris replied that all the meds were still there. Addie expressed concern. Chris told Addie that Cece takes it every day, once a day, and they have containers full of it downstairs. On 8/14, Addie texted Chris to say that she thinks people need to be out searching and asked if police mentioned search parties. he replied there were no search parties and that they told him not to just go out driving because he would not know what to look for. He told Addie that there was still a chance in his mind that she was with someone he didn't know of, and he said he really hoped that was the case. He told her that the police have seen all the footage from the cameras, and he hoped that they were all safe together. Yeah, he hopes that was that his plan, that he was just going to say, you know, we never heard from them again. I just hope they're all safe together. That's good. I've got to go on with my life now, guys. Is that what he thought? That's probably what he thought in his little feeble mind. At 12:56, he texted that he was talking with news crews and that he was being bombarded all at once, and he said he wanted to get everything out there. He said that the dogs were sweeping the house for scents. And then at 19:21 hours, Chris told Addie he was talking with the FBI. He replied on 8:15 that he had just gotten done with the FBI and they have the case now. I had one other person I was going to go over, which was Christine Meekum, and I'm missing the first page of what I need to go over, so I'm going to have to do that at another time. But so what's going on here with this case? I mean, what about the basement door? What about the alert there? What about that? I mean, why is he mentioning that? What significance does it have in that? I don't know. I mean, what about the car lights? And what about that sex trafficking thing and the weird stuff? Wouldn't you like to have that brought up a little bit? Find out what that is about? I would. I mean, I can't believe he wasn't questioned more. I am going to look to see if I can see any type of an audio interview, because I know some of the guys did. And I'm going to see if there's any more information on the audio interview. If you know of any, put it in the comments. But I'm going to let you go, guys. You know, keep discussing the case, bring up any questions or anything you want me to look up in the case, and we'll try to get this sorted out as we go through this discovery together. But I will talk to you all very soon, and I'll bring you Christine's interview, and we've got to still do Nikki and the babysitter and Jeremy Lindstrom and his wife, and then the guys from Anadarko and stuff like that. We have to go through all of that to see what we find out. Okay, take care, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.